Welcome to the module, Europe and the Developing World. I just want to introduce this course briefly and tell you about the context, the structure and the content of the course. So in terms of context, we're in extremely difficult times today, of course, with the difficult transatlantic relationship, with Brexit going on, with nationalism rising everywhere in Europe. And despite that, the EU is going on with its developing world policy. It's extremely active. It has an incredible trade policy in the world. And it's also present in many different continents, especially in Africa in terms of conflict management. So a lot is going on in Europe today in terms of foreign policy. And so that's what we're going to look at. And what we're especially going to do is look at it extremely critically. So it's to say, what is the EU doing in terms of foreign policy, in political, economic, military terms, in terms of perceptions of European foreign policy. But it's also saying, what is it not doing? So, for example, how do we understand foreign policy, not just in traditional terms, but what could it do for education? What could it do for transport in the developing world? So broaden up a bit our understanding of foreign policy and see what others in the developing world would want Europe to do. So that's the general context. In terms of structure, a traditional structure, looking first at theories, then at case studies. We're going to look at theories of European integration, but also at post-colonialism to see how that could fit to understand foreign policy. So not only decision-making process, but also impact. And then in the second part, we widen up to empirical studies, looking at Africa, Central America, Asia, different cases. We can look at what's going on in Vietnam, in Peru, in Mauritius, and of course, in all our debates, because you'll be taking an active part in all these debates, you can also select a case that you're interested in. So that's for the themes, but we're also going to look at different areas of foreign policy, as I said, diplomacy, military, and maybe any area you might think of which is interesting, like agriculture or fisheries, because that has an impact on foreign policy too. And what we're also going to do quite actively together are two simulation games. One is on the Libya crisis of 2011, one on the Syria crisis today, and all of us will be acting as different states, as different entities. So one of you might be the United States, one of you might be the African Union, and we'll have to simulate what the EU would be doing for these crises. And we'll also look into migration, which obviously is a very important topic today in Europe, but it wasn't in the past, although the rhetoric was that migration was interesting and important for foreign policy decision-making processes. So I hope you all come and join us. The idea is to be extremely interactive, to read as much as possible from different horizons, and bring in our different knowledge together to brainstorm and be critical about European foreign policy.